Welcome back to the channel. If you're struggling with finding any sort of motivation to do anything with your life at this point, if you're like early 20s, maybe late 20s, early 30s, and man, you're just checked out. Like you just don't want to do anything. You don't want to put in the effort to go on dates. You don't want to put in the effort to start your own business, to hustle, to make all kinds of money, to go get a college degree, to do any of that shit. I have a hypothesis for why that may be for yourself. Now, I could be wrong. Obviously, everybody's different. Everybody else has, different motivations, different problems, different troubles in life, and your reasons for being unmotivated to do anything might very well differ from mine. And I'm not even saying that these are essentially my motivations for not doing anything, or that I'm even not doing anything with my life, or that I'm not motivated, etc. But I think that that these thoughts might be going on in other people's heads, and to a certain extent these thoughts kind of go on in my own head. But I think the reason why a lot of men my age are just checked out is not because they're just naturally lazy. And again, of course, there's people that are lazy. There's people that are just checked out just to be checked out, just because they're lazy, just because they don't care, they're apathetic, etc. But I think a lot of men my age are checked out simply because they see the direction that this world is going in. They see the prices of everything going straight through the roof. They see, a lot of them just have given up on the idea of even ever owning a house, even though, again, as I've mentioned in my previous videos, nobody actually owns their house. But even renting a house from government is becoming more and more of a pipe dream for a lot of people. But then not only that, but with the whole expose that we've gone under of the Epstein files and the veil being lifted, and the powers that be not even going through the trouble of even trying so hard to conceal what just their own depravity and the evil that they've engaged in, and just throwing it in people's faces, knowing that nothing's going to happen. That in and of itself, I mean, do you want to go into work? Do you want to advance in your career? Do you want to expand your business to make millions and millions of dollars just so you can pay taxes to these people? Like, just that calculus alone, I feel like is one of the main reasons why people are just so checked out nowadays. I mean, just the thought of participating in this completely, absolutely rotten to the core immoral system that we have, and knowing that if you're gonna succeed in the marketplace to any appreciable extent, in the white marketplace, the overt marketplace, not the black market, of course, if you're gonna see any sort of success in that, you're going to have to fork over 30 to 40%, almost half of what you earn, over to these people that are that are just doing the most heinous stuff you can imagine, worldwide and in this country and everywhere else. And if you arrive at that conclusion, and of course a lot of people, they see the issue in that, and instead of really coming to terms with that and saying, yes, indeed, like, this is probably the issue, like, this is probably the number one problem in living on this planet, is essentially you being forced at the barrel of a gun to pay for the immoral shit that governments do. Instead of seeing that, what people do is they engage in this kind of cope thing, where they say, oh, well, I refuse to be poor, and so therefore I will go have that go-getter mentality, and I'll do my business and I'll do my career and whatever, and so be it. That's just the system that we live in. And it's like, bro, you're like, I understand this mode of thinking, because I understand that, even myself, I don't want to be poor. Like, I don't want to struggle financially. I don't want to have these issues that are, go hand in hand with being poor. But I also don't want to be feeding into this system that is literally tailored to enslave every single person on this planet forever, perpetually. So it's kind of a double bind, you might say, that I, myself, in the short amount of time that I have to live on this planet, I do not want to be engaging in things that, when I take my last dying breath, wherever that is, I'll be thinking about those things that I did and how I engaged in the evil, how I took part in the evil, no matter how involuntary it was. Like, I don't want to have that on my consciousness when I pass. So while I don't want to be poor, while I don't want to be squalid, I think that's the word. It's a word that you can describe that as. While I don't want to have that kind of an existence, I do not want to have a hand in the creation and the building of the largest prison known to the galaxy. Like, I don't want to be engaged in putting another brick onto that building that's going to be there and that's going to enslave every future generation after me. I don't want to do that. And so that is what I think is going on with a lot of dudes' heads, or in a lot of dudes' heads. And it's not laziness. It's not a thing of where you don't want to work to improve. You don't want to work to improve humanity. You don't want to put your hand in and put in the effort to try and make things better, like to provide a service to people to make their lives better. It's not that. I think if people are really conscious, like if there's some guys out there that are my age that are conscious and that are really, really just spending a lot of time looking at the world and assessing the world, they ultimately come to the conclusion that they don't want to take part in this shit anymore. And so that's why I think that there's that lack of motivation. That's why I think there's this lack of wanting to to build businesses, to build careers, to do all of these things, is because you are coming to you're finally arriving at the conclusion that 40% of your income, so that's almost half the time that you're spending making that money, you're working for the same system that is geared to your enslavement and everybody else's enslavement who will come after you. That's where I think that level of apathy and lack of motivation comes from. I could be wrong, but I honestly don't think I'm wrong. So tell me what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.